little CMC action to start it off with the running back, number 1 overall running back on the season. He had a historic pace, running with 1,387 yards, right at or just over 1,000 yards receiving, 1,005 yards receiving, 15 rushing touchdowns, 4 receiving touchdowns. Guys, he was a monster. What are your thoughts here on old CMC?
Yeah, I think Christian McCaffrey, like you said, had a season for the ages, right? And it didn't matter what type of format you had him in, whether it was standard, PPR, some sort of customized league. Christian McCaffrey was clearly the number 1 overall fantasy player. The only other player to really come close was Lamar Jackson due to his ability to run the football. I think those numbers are – I think they're the peak for C-Mac in his career. I think we just saw the peak. I don't know that the drop-off's that fast. I know we've talked about this in previous episodes, but I think you're going to see Christian McCaffrey's numbers dip just a little bit.
Obviously, what McCaffrey did is historic. It's going to go down as one of the all-time, great seasons that a running back is going to have in this league. And I know that especially in this league, it is so tough to duplicate that. I mean, look at a guy like Adrian Peterson, who's been very, very good, and had a phenomenal season, but he had one phenomenal season. He hasn't ever been able to get back to that phenomenal season. So I think that's kind of the rule. And I don't know that Christian McCaffrey is going to be the exception to that rule. I still think he's going to have a heck of a season this year. And, the downside to having that good of a season is that that's going to be the bar that you're going to be expected to reach every year. And that's probably a little unrealistic. Don't be surprised if he doesn't get to what he did last year.
He had 45% usage in that offense, right? By the time that's just unheard of and unreal.
Mind blowing.
Absolutely. Like, you think about some of the historic all-time great seasons we've seen in fantasy, and the only one that comes close for me is LaDainian Tomlinson. Guys, as a running back, he had 141 targets last year. Their number 1 and their clear number 1 receiver on the team had 135. He saw more targets than their number 1 wide receiver. And, oh, by the way, he also had more receptions than their number 1 receiver as well.
I'd still be shocked if he's not the number 1 running back. I know Saquon Barkley could probably give him a run for the money based off of how that Giants offense is kind of setting up and the lack of weapons that they have.
It'll be either him or Saquon, I believe, that's sitting in that number 1. And those two this year, I believe, are going to be very close together.
Hi, this is Alex for the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. For more videos like this, be sure to hit like and subscribe. And find our weekly Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts.